Good.
I'm good.
Okay. Good. Glad to hear it. Awesome. So today we are going to continue talking about creating stories, and we are going to review the vocabulary we learned last session, and we will practice summarizing stories. So summarizing is the verb form of summary, which we'll go over in a moment. So if you are giving a summary of something, you can also say, I summarized that. So let's begin and let's take a look and review our vocabulary. We looked at these last class, but always good for a review. Okay, repeat after me. Summary.
Summary.
All right, great. One more time. Summary.
Summary.
Nice job. So a summary is a short outline of the story's events, and we'll practice this in a bit. But, always good to practice giving a summary or to summarize something. Let's try summarize all together. Summarize. One more time. Summarize. Great. Nice. So yes, it's important to know or to practice giving a summary or to summarize something. This comes in handy in conversation, or even when you are maybe writing something for school, or in any form really. It's a good practice to be able to take a whole story and to shorten it down to give a brief look into what the story is about. Okay. Vocabulary word number 2. Repeat after me. Draft. All right, one more time. Draft. All right, great. And draft, as we know, is an unfinished version of a written work. So someone, a student, a writer, a storyteller, whoever it might be, might go through several versions of their written work. It could be a paper or an essay, a novel, a script, several versions before the final one that is given to audience members or readers or a teacher. There are several drafts. So something we're all familiar with, I think. All right, wonderful. Okay, so I thought it might be great to practice this a little bit more through a bit of a game here. So what we'll do in a moment is we'll go one at a time. I will call on one of you. You can choose a number 1 through 6 here. Each number reveals one of the stories that we have talked about. So, for example, Pip, Jerry's Game, the Three Little Pigs, so on and so forth. We reviewed these a little bit last session. So everyone will take a turn. They will choose a number. And then once you see the story behind that number, you can summarize the story and you can use the prompt below. So again, summaries don't need to be very long. They can be very quick. So there's an example here. So let's take a look here. Are you all familiar with the story of Cinderella? You can raise your hand if you are or are not. So if you are familiar, raise your hand. No? Okay, well, if you're not familiar, let's take a look at the summary of this.
They probably know the Mandarin name. 仙女奇缘，灰姑娘的故事。So, could you raise your hand again if you have heard of this story? Everyone.
Okay, there you go. Yes, thank you, Luke. Thank you. So yes, a popular tale, very widely known. So yes, in English, this is called Cinderella. So Cinderella, the title, is about a girl named Cinderella. It takes place in a village in France. Cinderella faces problems with her stepmother and stepsisters who treat her poorly. She dreams of a better life and soon her dreams come true. So not very long. It tells us what the name of the story is, the title of the story, who it is about, the main character, the setting where it takes place, and the type of conflict, what happens, and you can also give a brief summary of the resolution or how the story ends. Okay, so we will practice this. So you can choose any number between 1 through 6. Okay, it does not have to be in order. Barry, will you go first? You can choose a number 1 through 6.
3.
3?
Yes.
Okay, let's see. Oh! Nothing showed up. That's strange. Okay. It appears my images did not come up. Okay. Here's what I will do. I'm going to improvise. I will give you a story based on 3. Let me write them down very quickly. That's strange. Okay, one moment, Barry. Okay. One moment. Okay, number 3. I randomly just wrote them down. Number 3 is snack attack. So can you give a summary of snack attack, please?
A old man buy a cookie, and he and she sit sit down on a bench. A young man next to her, and she want to eat the cookie her buy. But the young man eat the cookie too, so she is angry. Last, she get on the train, and she she saw her cookie is in her bag, and she and the cookie she ate is the young man. That's all.
Yeah, nice job, Barry. Great detail, nice remembering. So yes, you did a great detailed summary of what happens in Snack Attack. Great job. We don't know the character's name, so yeah, an older woman and a man. Perfect. Great job. Nice summary. Thank you so much. Okay, let's see. Dylan, will you choose another number, please?
1.
1. Did you say 1, Dylan?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, number 1 is the story of Pip. Will you give a summary of Pip, please?
It is don't want to be a guide dog, but he is little, so so he
didn't
Say that last part again, Dylan.
the pig is the dog want to be a guide dog, but he is little. So he is very hard to find it how to be a guide dog. And he has the ties, so as he don't pass the ties, so he didn't did a job. And suddenly he see the woman is right, and he helped her to cross the road, and she become a guide dog.
Nice job. Yes. Great job. You also put a lot of great detail into the story of Pip, and you gave a very good summary of Pip. You mentioned the different story events from the start to the end. Great job, Dylan. Nice job. Okay, let's see. Amy, will you pick a number, please?
2.
Okay, Amy, will you give a summary of the story, The Three Little Pigs?
We learned the wolf version.
Not the wolf version, the original version.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Have 3 pigs, and the older, they want to make a house, but the wolf want to ask them. So when they build the house, they choose 3 kinds of things to build it, and the oldest and no the oldest pig's chef okay, finally the wolf, the eldest pigs and the second pig's house were broken, but the youngest pig's house is good. So they finally the wolf couldn't ask the 3 pigs. Okay, finally.
Good job. Good job. Yes, you got all the big points in there, all the details. Nice job. Yes, great job. That one was a little trickier to remember, I think. Okay, thank you, Amy. Okay, Ray, will you choose a number, please? We have 4, 5, and 6 left.
6.
Okay, Ray, will you summarize Little Red Riding Hood, please.
Okay. Uh, Little Red Riding Hood is a girl who lives in a forest, and and he faces a problem that she met a wolf, and the wolf eats his grandma and even wants to eat her. So um oh, and luckily a woodcutter heard her screaming. So so the woodcutter keep away the wolf, and the wolf didn't appear in the future.
Nice job. Yes, great summary. Great job. Again, good details. You started off very wonderfully, Ray. I want to point this out. With Little Red Riding Hood takes place. You said the setting. Nice job. All right, great. Okay, Ryan, will you choose 4 or 5, please?
4.
Okay, number 4 is Jerry's Game. Can you give a summary for Jerry's Game, please?
Old man is play chess,
Chess.
and
Yes.
but on but he play himself.
Where does it take place? What's the setting?
He go to the park to play the chess, and he play himself.
Great job. That right there, Ryan, is also it's a great summary. So summaries aren't always very, very long. Sometimes they are short. And what you just gave, Ryan, is an excellent example of a shorter summary. So Jerry's Game is about a man at a park who plays chess against himself. That tells us pretty much most of what the story is about and what we can expect. Yes? Nice job. Okay. All right. And Esther, will you give a summary of the true story of the 3 little pigs? That's the one that the wolf told. It was from the wolf's point of view.
The wolf wanted to bake a cake to his grandma. So he wanted to borrow a sugar from his neighbor. And first he go to the big pig's house, and he beat, and the house is broke. So he is the pig, the big pig. And second, he go to the second house. to borrow the sugar. And then he had a pig. So the house is broke. He eats the second pig. And then he go to the third pig house to borrow the sugar. And the little pig
So do you remember how the story ends? Did the little pig get help? Did the wolf get the third pig?
No.
No. What happened to the wolf?
The wolf go to the jail.
Yes. So did the wolf have a happy ending for himself?
No.
No. Yes. Great job. Nice remembering. I'm impressed. You remembered all those details. Nice job. Yes. So we'll see in the true story of the three little pigs, it's about the wolf, and the wolf is telling things from his side of the story, trying to convince us that something different happened and that he is innocent. That means he did nothing wrong in the story that we all know, the one that Amy summarized, where we think of the wolf as the bad guy. But in this version, like you beautifully summarized, Esther, he is looking for a cup of sugar, and he's saying that he didn't do anything bad, but that the pigs were mean to him. So nice job. Good remembering. Wow, I'm impressed with how you all remembered so many details of our stories. Wonderful job. Sometimes it can be difficult to remember all those details, especially when we have a few stories that we've been studying. So great job. I'm very impressed. Great job. Okay, well, I'm very glad that you remember so much of these different stories, because our next activity, we will take a look at some characters. So we started this, I think last week, we started talking about this. So everyone, if you can take a moment, make sure you have something to write with, like a pen and paper, or you can type if you're more comfortable typing, that's okay too. Because we're going to play a few games with characters. Now, we talked about this again a little bit last week. So many stories, many famous stories that we might know. Here are two examples. Many stories that we know or have heard of are inspired by other stories. So for example, these two stories are inspired by William Shakespeare, and forgive me, I don't remember his how to say his name in Mandarin. Luke, I know you shared that with us. Could you share it again?
莎士比亚
I'm gonna try. Shashubiya.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good job.
So thank you. So yes, Shashubiya, William Shakespeare, has had many famous stories that many people know and love. And so many people have been inspired by his famous stories and then create other movies or plays that these are inspired by. So, for example, West Side Story, which is a musical. You may or may not have heard of it, but it's a musical that was inspired by Romeo and Juliet. It's a very famous play by Shakespeare. And then this might also be familiar to you. This is The Lion King, and this was inspired by Hamlet by William Shakespeare. So 2 stories that we might know, but they were inspired by other stories. So we are going to take some inspiration from our 6 stories that we have been looking at, that we have been studying, and we are going to have some fun creating some new stories from the characters we have gotten to know in these stories. Okay, so everyone take a moment to think of which stories you really enjoyed, or maybe a character or 2 that you really liked or found interesting, and choose one to focus on. And then we will answer some questions about those characters to sort of start creating a new story. Okay? All right, so let's look at some examples. So we have our 6 stories, like we said. So, of course, we have our friend Pip, the little dog who is very small, who wanted to become a guide dog. And then we have Little Red Riding Hood and the wolf. And as we know, Little Red Riding Hood, in this story, it always depends on the version. Some stories have different versions of what happens, but she always meets the wolf, and he's always hungry, and he wants to eat her and her grandmother. Okay, and then we have Snack Attack, of course. We have the old woman and the man in Snack Attack. We're all very familiar with these 2 characters. And then, of course, Jerry and Jerry's Game, the old man playing chess. And lastly, from 2 of our stories, the 3 Little Pigs, and also the true story of the 3 Little Pigs, we have a wolf, also seen as the villain of the story, just like in Little Red Riding Hood, but we have the 3 pigs as well, who build their houses out of different materials. All right, so take a look here. We'll just take a moment. Think back and remember which characters you really liked. Maybe you liked a character that was in one of these stories, but not on the screen. That's okay. You can choose a different character that's not on the screen, but was in one of the stories. And when you have chosen one, just raise your hand and then we can move on. We'll give a minute or so for this. And again, be sure to think of which character do you think you might be able to make a new story with, or might be able to talk about a bit. We're going to be very creative in the next piece of our class. All right. And again, once you're ready, just click the raise hand button. Oh, is that Leo? Barry? Great. Okay. Let's see. Brian, Dylan, Amy, and Esther, and Ray. How are you doing? Oh, great. Ray's raised his hand. All right, we'll give another moment and then we're going to move on, okay? So make sure. Okay, wonderful, Esther. Okay. I think that was everyone. I think I saw everyone's hand raised. Okay, so we're going to move on. And if you need me to go back to that screen, just let me know, okay? Okay, so everyone has a character that they've decided to focus on. So one of the characters from our stories. All right, step number 1, check, we got it. Oh, and step number 2 also. All right, perfect. All right, so now we're going on to step number 3. So we're going to take a look at some questions about these characters, okay? So on your paper, we're just going to start writing down the answers to these questions. But first, let's read them out loud. We'll take some turns, okay? So only we're going to read the questions, and then we'll start answering them, and you can write this down. All right, so Ray, will you read this first question, please?
Which character did you choose?
All right, nice job. So everyone, take a moment and write down which character did you choose? I'm going to do this with you all as well. All right, great. Let's see. Amy, will you read the second question, please?
What was this character doing before the story started?
All right, so this is where we can start to get creative. Think of where we first see your character. So again, if we're doing Pip, we first see him as he's walking up to the school. If you are writing about the woman in Snack Attack, we first see her when she is at the train station going up to that vending machine to get those cookies. So think of where your character was and now get a little creative and think of where do you think they were right before the story? What would make sense for them to do? All right, so let's take a moment and write down what we think that they might have been doing. You don't have to give a lot of detail, just a sentence. All right, let's give another moment. Okay, great. So let's take a look at our third question. Ryan, can you read the third question, please?
What does the character do after the story ends?
Nice job. So yes, so think about what happens at the end of the story, the last thing you see of your character or know of your character when the story ends, and what would they do next? You can put yourself in their shoes and say, if I was that character, what would I do next? Great. Okay, let's take a look at our next question. I'll give you all another couple seconds to finish up, and then we'll take a look at our next question. Okay, Esther, will you read the next question, please?
Does the character's perspective about anything change?
Great, nice job, Esther. So remember, perspective is the character's beliefs or attitudes towards someone or something. So, for example, I will say the woman in Snack Attack, we've talked about her before. Her perspective changes because she believes this man is very unkind or very cruel for eating her cookie. then her perspective changes because she realizes at the end of the story that she misunderstood the situation. So think about your character that you chose and think, does my character have any changes in their perspective? Did the conflict they were facing or a situation in the story for them change at all? All right. Okay. Dylan, will you read this last question, please, on this list?
What is the next conflict this character runs into?
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Dylan. So this is when we get to start to be a bit more creative as well. What is going to happen next? What is the next conflict this character runs into? We all run into problems in our lives, and all characters that we know of run into several conflicts. So even though the story ends, what do you think would be the next conflict the story runs into, or a character would run into? And you can think about the setting or other characters this character might meet that might cause them problems. It might be fun to think about types of conflict in this. So will some sort of natural disaster or man versus nature conflict happen? Maybe it's something with man versus man. Maybe it's man versus machine. So you can think of what type of conflict do you think this character will run into next, and what is it? Okay. And after this, we will pause and we'll start to share a bit about what we have come up with so far, and then we'll dig a little deeper and ask some more questions about our character. Okay, another moment. All right. Raise your hand if you have completed all these questions and you would be ready to share. And it's okay if you need a little bit more time. All right, let's take another moment. And I can go first and I will share with you all my example and then we will share. Okay. So I'll give you another moment and then I will share and then we can all share what we have come up with so far. Wonderful. Okay, and I would love if someone would we can ask each other these questions. So Leo, will you choose one of these questions to ask me?
Okay.
Which character do you choose?
All right, great start. I chose Jerry from Jerry's Game to talk about. All right, Barry, will you ask the next question, please?
What was the character doing before the story started?
Great. I think Jerry was eating lunch before the story started. I think he ate lunch in the park and was sitting near some water. Great, thank you. And Dylan, will you read the next question, please?
What does this character do after the story ends?
After the story ends, I think that Jerry has some more laughs and then he plays another game of chess with himself. Okay, great. Thanks, Dylan. Esther, will you read the next question, please?
Does the character's perspective about anything change?
No, Jerry's perspective does not change much in the story. His attitudes about playing with himself, I think, stay the same. He has a good time playing chess with himself. Okay, and Amy, will you read the next question, please?
What is the next conflict this character runs into?
So I think the next conflict he runs into is a man versus nature type of conflict. I think it will start to rain and thunderstorm, and Jerry has to get somewhere safe soon, but then his shoe gets stuck in some mud and he has a hard time leaving because he's stuck. All right, great, wonderful. So let's hear, I'd love to hear some of what you all came up with. So let's start with our first question. Which character did you choose? Let's see. Ryan, which character did you choose?
The old woman.
The old woman from...
Snake attack.
There you go. So say it as one sentence, Ryan.
I choose the old woman from Snake Attack.
Nice job. And what was this character doing before the story started?
She goes to buy a cookie at the train station.
Oh, so let's think, Ryan. Did she do this before the story started too?
Yes.
Oh, okay. She really loves her cookies. Great. Okay, and what does this character do after the story ends?
She gets on the train.
Okay, great. And does the character's perspective change about anything?
Yes.
Oh, what is it? Something to think about. Does her perspective about another person change?
She knows the man not eat her cookies.
Yes, she knows the man didn't eat her cookies. Nice job. And what is the next conflict that she runs into?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. So this is where we can start getting creative, Ryan. Okay, so we can think about this and maybe, for example, we know she's on a train. So she leaves the story, she's on a train, she's going somewhere. So we can decide, where is she going? What do you think where she might be going? And maybe she runs into a conflict on the train with someone else, or maybe something, a part of the train itself is causing her a problem. Maybe someone's being very loud. So think about what you think. What is she going to get into next? What sort of problem might she run into? So think about it. All right, great. Nice job, Ryan. Okay, Barry, which character did you choose?
I choose Tang from the Adventure of Tang.
Oh, okay. Is this a story that you are familiar with?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Wonderful. Okay, so what was this character doing before the story started?
I think is playing with his brother.
Playing a prank?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sounds like a trickster. Okay, great. And what does this character do after the story ends?
Maybe play another prank.
Oh, okay. All right. Does this character's perspective about anything change?
I think yes.
Oh, what is it?
Because because he saw a man kill another man.
Oh, wow. So maybe he has some bigger things he's thinking about. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. I see. Okay, and what is the next conflict this character runs into, Barry?
He played too many prank and all the people angry to him, so he will in a trouble.
Oh, I see. So maybe he learns some lessons there. So it sounds like there could be a few types of conflict, maybe man versus man, man versus maybe society, and maybe even man versus self if he's noticing he's getting into trouble. All right, nice job, Barry. Thank you. Okay, you're running low on time, so I want to hear from the rest of you. Just the first question is, which character did you choose? And then we will continue talking about this more next time. So, Dylan, which character did you choose?
I choose Pip.
Oh, very good. Pip from the story Pip. Very good. Okay, and Esther, which character did you choose?
I choose snack attack of the woman.
Wonderful. The old one in Snack Attack. Great. And Amy, which character did you choose?
I chose Pip.
Very good. And Ray, which character did you choose?
I choose Pip.
Oh, Pip's very popular, I guess. And Leo, which character did you choose?
I chose the man from Snack Attack.
The man from Snack Attack. All right, very good. Okay, so I would be very curious to hear more about what you all have to say about these characters. So next time we will talk about this, and then we have a few more questions as well that we will think about when it comes to these characters and creating stories, and we'll explore this a bit further. Okay? All right, so let me bring my screen back to you all. All right, wonderful. Well, great job again. Again, I'm very impressed with how much detail you all remember from these stories. So nice job. Okay. And there won't be any class for Tuesday morning, but I will see you all this time next week. Okay?
OK 下礼拜二没有课，老师有事情。 All right, please unmute your microphone. Let's say thank you, teacher Bridget.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you, teacher Bridget.
Okay.
All right. Thank you all. I'll see you all next time. Okay.
Okay, have a good night.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye.
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 Great job, everyone.